The Hunger Games actress Rachel Zegler is playing victim. Surprise, surprise. And she's claiming she's only received backlash for being outspoken. Let's get into this here. Actress Rachel Zegler, who plays Lucy Greybeard Baird in the upcoming The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, recently addressed the backlash she's received for her comments about Snow White, as well as her defamation of actors Jeremy Renner and Gina Carano. The Wrap listed Zegler as one of their trailblazers for their Latino Power List 2023. As part of her entry, Zegler informed the outlet it's an honor to be recognized in a way that both celebrates our heritage and lifts up the contributions we all make to this industry, where it can be particularly hard for us to be seen and heard in a meaningful way. She continued, I still don't think I'm quite ready for the life I already have, despite being extremely grateful for it and for every opportunity it has brought me. I definitely don't think she's ready for the life that she has right now. I think she's actually being truthful there. Nevertheless, she goes on and says, to young Latino performers coming up in the industry, I would tell them to know their worth and to make sure they're loud about having seats at the tables they deserve to be at. Finally, she addressed the backlash she received while positioning herself as a victim. She said, I have learned the hard way that we have to be fearless and loud in order to be heard, and to prepare for the backlash that occasionally comes with that outspokenness. So let's not mince words here. Rachel Zegler's quote-unquote outspokenness is trashing Jeremy Renner vehemently, absolutely disgusting behavior. She led a cancel mob, or participated in a cancel mob, against Gina Carano. And more recently, last year at D23, she made a number of condescending and derogatory comments towards fans of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs animated film, and derided the original Disney classic. So let's get into all this here. Zegler, who will play Snow White in an upcoming live-action film from the Walt Disney Company, became infamous after numerous comments resurfaced of her deriding the original animated Disney film following the set leak depicting Disney's modernized Seven Dwarfs. The actress has routinely been criticized for comments describing the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs animated film as dated, disparaging the prince as a stalker, and taking issue with the film's love story. Not only that, but she's revealed the upcoming live-action film is changing the definition of fair, appears to remove the entire moral lesson on vanity, and will instead be some kind of story about Snow White's inner struggle and her desire to be a good leader. She revealed to Extra TV her thoughts about the prince. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird, weird. So we didn't do that this time. The prince does not stalk Snow White in the original animated movie. That is a bald-faced lie, and I would not call that quote-unquote outspoken. Again, it is a lie, and you're insulting people who know that it's a lie by lying to their faces. So I wouldn't really call that being outspoken. That's just lying. When asked if the prince would even be in the film, Zegler answered, we have a different approach to that. I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get, who knows, it's Hollywood, baby. She's basically saying they could get cut. She then revealed what the film was really about. It's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self, and she meets a lot of people along the way that make the journey really incredible. So obviously, Disney pushing an agenda through the narrative of this new Snow White, I think that is abundantly clear. I don't think she's really being criticized for this. It was more about calling the prince a stalker, but obviously just kind of like being condescending and saying that the whole like love story is kind of outdated, and we're going to subvert your expectations on what Snow White really is. So just kind of condescending and again insulting to fans of the original Snow White, expecting an actual legitimate adaptation. She made similar comments to Variety when asked why she described the movie as having a modern edge. She said, I just mean it's no longer in 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. Gal Gadot, who plays the Evil Queen in the upcoming live-action adaptation, interjected. She said she's not going to be saved by the prince. Zegler then affirmed she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. Again, Disney pushing a message and an agenda to young girls through this instead of the original Snow White and the Animated Dwarfs story on vanity and finding love and creating a family. Zegler elaborated, she's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in. Clearly, we've seen this over and over and over again from Hollywood. They want this strong female character that literally tries to be a man, and they just kind of push this agenda all over the place. It's feminism to the max, and people just aren't interested in it at all anymore. And again, it's insulting by saying that it's not being outspoken, it's just insulting. Speaking of Entertainment Weekly, Zegler also revealed that the film is also changing the definition of fair for the film. The original animated film made it clear the term referred to beauty and was providing a lesson on vanity. This will no longer be the definition for Zegler's live-action movie. She said, the reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. No, it's not. It's not dated. Snow White and the animated Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a timeless tale. Has stood the test of time. There's a reason why Walt Disney adapted it in the first place, because it was a grown fairy tale and it lasted so long. So it's not dated. You are, like, again, insulting. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is most just and who can become a fantastic leader. Again, pushing that agenda. She continued, and the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom. Also, the fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms, is what makes it so relevant to where we are today. Again, clearly pushing that feminist agenda of what the Walt Disney Company, how they think women should be. Not only has Zegler been criticized for her comments about Snow White and the upcoming film, but she's also been criticized for her tone deafness surrounding the SAG-AFTRA strike and her demands for residuals. And what appears to be an Instagram story post from July, she said, "I have residual checks that would shock you, and I've only made 2 movies." So she's clearly being entitled here. I wouldn't really call that outspoken. Again, being entitled, being arrogant, being prideful, being very ego-driven, being very selfish, being very narcissistic, especially given the fact that the 2 films she starred in were box office failures, and I would assume that they didn't have that great of an audience when they went to streaming and digital on demand. Shazam! Fury of the Gods only grossed $132.1 million globally in its theatrical run, despite having a $125 million production budget. The film likely lost Warner Brothers around $108.2 million. And then her other film was West Side Story. The movie grossed $74.8 million globally. It had a reported production budget of $100 million. That means the film likely lost around $105 million for the Walt Disney Company. So it shouldn't be a surprise that her residuals are terrible when the movies were box office failures and likely were not being viewed either on streaming and digital, as I said. Nevertheless, she also told Entertainment Tonight on the picket line, "If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online." No, you already got paid for that. Sure, they can negotiate residuals and everything like that, but you got to get people watching it in order for you to get paid. So you're still not going to get any residuals if no one watches it, as you clearly understand by noting that your residual checks suck because no one watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods and West Side Story. So again, she's criticized for her haughtiness, not really being outspoken, but her arrogance and her entitlement and her own personal behavior, not being outspoken. She's also been criticized for defamation of Jeremy Renner. She viciously attacked Renner while he was in the middle of a nasty custody battle with his ex-wife, Sonny Pacheco, who Pacheco accused him of abusing drugs and alcohol, threatening to kill her, and also attempting suicide. At the time, Renner rebuked Pacheco's claims, providing legal documents showing he was drug and alcohol tested for 3 months, all of which came back negative. The documents also claimed that he was requesting Sonny's time with their daughter be reduced so she could, quote, overcome her overwhelming obsession with demonizing Renner. A representative from Renner also stated the well-being of his daughter has always been and continues to be the primary focus for Jeremy. This is a matter of the court to decide. It's important to note that dramatizations made in Sonny's declaration are a one-sided account made with a specific goal in mind. Nevertheless, Zegler went after Renner on Twitter, initially writing, "Can I be the new Hawkeye?" She then followed that up, writing, "Actually, I think the new Hawkeye should be a trans woman of color to stick it to that racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster," clearly referring to Jeremy Renner. Absolutely sickening behavior, just terrible, terrible. You just don't do this. You just don't call people these kind of names and stuff like this. It's just awful. And another, she wrote, "And deaf, proper representation for the incredible deaf, hard of hearing community, a deaf trans woman of color. Yes." When one user said you need to learn the facts before you start running your mouth, turns out most of the story is BS. Zegler doubled down, and she said not even remotely going to address the story that came out today. So she doesn't even want to acknowledge the truth or anything being close to it. She's admitting that, but then she went on and said that she then defamed Renner again, describing him as saying that he's made racist, sexist, transphobic comments and totally disrespected the deaf community. And then she says, "Better catch my mouth," because she running by. Again, super ego, entitlement, doesn't think she can do anything wrong, and she's also defaming and injuring a fellow actor at the same time, not being outspoken, just being terrible, terrible behavior. As for Gina Carano, Ziegler participated in the cancel mob targeting her at the height of transgender activists attacking Carano for refusing to put her pronouns in her Twitter bio. Ziegler tweeted out, "Do not make fun of pronouns." She said, "They are not a joke. Pronouns are validating. Pronouns are cool. Put your pronouns in your bio. I wear my pronouns on a button sometimes. It's a good thing. Bye." Again, this whole pronoun thing is part of the transgender ideology where they literally are lying to people about their sex, trying to convince people that women can become men and men can become women when indeed they can't. So she's encouraging lying right here. But then she made it very clear she was talking about Gina Carano. She says, "It's a fun time to remind you all to love Pedro Pascal." And then she also shared a button with the word she and her on it, like she's confirming that she has that button with pronouns on it. And Ziegler's comments came the same day that Carano explained that the woke world was mad at her because I won't put pronouns in my bio to show my support for trans lives. After months of harassing me in every way, I decided to put 3 very controversial words in my bio. Beep, bop, boop. I'm not against trans lives at all. They need to find less abusive representation, is what Carano said. So clearly, Ziegler is not a victim, and the backlash she has received has been warranted. I think for the most part, I think that she deserves criticisms of what she's done. I think what she's done has been absolutely awful. I think that their whole idea for the Snow White movie is absolutely terrible and can be justly criticized. And then her condescension and insulting comments towards people that are fans of the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie, I think can be criticized as well. And I think that is all warranted. Like I said, she viciously attacked Jeremy Renner at probably one of the toughest moments in his life. And she has repeatedly disrespected and condescended fans of the classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs animated film. To claim she's received the backlash for being outspoken is just laughable. No, she's received the backlash because her actions have been horrible.
Subscribe for more.